aspect of the past quarter century I'd like to discuss is just a matter of words, but I think it's important. Today, people often talk about social network games, but simply describe them as social games. I believe these are really two very different things. When you hear the term social network, it generally describes a grouping of social human relationships conducted through mobile devices and PCs. And one of the leading activities on such network is video gaming. But this is much different from broadly describing a game as social. In fact, video gaming of a social nature goes back about 50 years. In 1962, an early computer game called Space War was the first to offer head-to-head competition. It existed only in a laboratory. By the 1970s, people were already playing on connected networks with computers, even though all those early online games were text-based. Even with no graphics, people were having fun. Home console machines brought people together playing in the same room. The Atari 2600 launched in the US in 1977, and two controllers were included. About the same time, Nintendo released its TV game 6 and 15 in Japan. So it was only natural for us to equip the Nintendo Entertainment System the same way. Nintendo then made 4 controllers possible with the Nintendo 64, and that meant new levels of excitement with games like Mario Kart, GoldenEye, and Smash Brothers. And certainly, a large new audience felt comfortable getting involved with the arrival of the Wii Remote Controller and Wii Sports. Creating multiplayer was more challenging with handheld systems, but it too evolved. Millions eventually played Tetris head-to-head using a cable to connect their Game Boy systems. In those early days, being social only meant competing. Then Pokemon on Game Boy added new aspects of interacting. Beginning with the launch of Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green for Game Boy Advance in 2004, wireless communications in portable gaming became the norm. Now, I don't want it to seem that Nintendo is taking too much credit for developing the social aspect of gaming. Others were just as active connecting players remotely. To be sure, in recent years, Call of Duty has become an online phenomenon with millions of online play sessions. And Microsoft should be recognized for its considerable investment to build and maintain Xbox Live. I think as creators, we should not ignore all the social entertainment we've provided for a quarter century and more, long before social networks ever existed. Beyond this, I believe the most important lesson of the past 25 years is understanding what it is exactly that most excites and motivates video game players. In America, there is a term for this: must-have. It describes something so compelling that every passionate gamer immediately wants it. If you don't, you feel like you've been left behind. Must-have describes new experiences, and these tend to come from one of 3 sources. Sometimes that new experience can be delivered by hardware itself. I think, for example, that the first Game Boy may have provided this feeling, since for the first time, numerous games could be carried and played by the owner wherever he went. But creating must-have only with technology is not easy. Second, there were times when a game itself is must-have. We know there is no single type of game or even one genre. This is most likely to achieve this status. Names as diverse as Sonic the Hedgehog and The Legend of Zelda, Guitar Hero and the Grand Theft Auto, Tetris, Just Dance and Angry Birds indicate the potential power of the game developer's imagination, no matter how that imagination is applied. But there is a third source of must-have, which stems from neither hardware nor software. It comes from the players themselves. It's that social appeal of gaming that just I discussed, the way players enjoy connecting either remotely or in person. I think it is remarkable that even after all these years, more than 12 million people still subscribe to World of Warcraft. Now, before we leave this idea of must-have, I want to also address it from the standpoint of the developer, not the player. Because for us, real-world consideration must be made. What will sell enough to offset my development cost? What will keep people employed and my business alive? One way to answer this is to look at the franchises that players have made the most popular over these 25 years and consider the reasons for their appeal. Number one is Mario. It's hard to believe now, but during his debut in arcades, he was considered something brand new. Excitement for Mario and Donkey Kong built through word of mouth. However, Mario was remained popular only because he's changed. Every developer involved in a Mario project understands the need to provide new gameplay elements and deliver unexpected experiences. Mario always evolves. The number two franchise erupted as something entirely new, Pokemon. The fundamental attraction of Pokemon is based on the universal appeal of collecting, training, competing, and trading. From the beginning, multiple versions of each Pokemon series were released. Some Pokemon appear only in one version, and you may notice that Pokemon received from the Friends version may grow faster than yours, so that you want them. These unique aspects were designed to promote interaction. To a great degree, the popularity of Pokemon can be explained by its social nature. The next franchises are not Nintendo properties, but I think all of us recognize their attributes. Number three is one I've already mentioned, Tetris. Tetris was perhaps the first video game to attract a female audience in a meaningful way. Game Boy was available here in America for only the last 5 months of its launch year in 1989. But by the end of that December, already 40% of all Game Boy players were female. The reason was Tetris. And number 4 is Will Wright's creation, The Sims. I know many of you remember criticism that this wasn't even a game because there was no way to win or lose. Many predicted it would never find an audience. It has sold 125 million copies around the world. So, there are valuable lessons in these top sellers. The need to constantly improve even a popular franchise, offering new surprises. The power of socially connecting players with each other. The value of expanding the game-playing audience to include new people. And the courage to challenge the existing notions of what a video game is and how it should be played. In addition, let me suggest one more aspect that applies to each of these franchises: universal appeal. Appealing to everyone, everywhere, is not easy, but of course, very desirable. I hope some of you will have the chance tomorrow morning to attend the panel hosted by Mr. Tanabe and our developers at Retro. They will talk about the steps they took to make Donkey Kong Country Returns a global hit.